Does that sound good? Yes? Okay. I'm Rosemary O'Neill, and I'm CEO of Narrative. I am so excited and honored to be here with you this morning and share my very favorite thing, people connecting with people through content. So I'm going to start. I know you guys are going to grill me later, so I'm going to grill you first. It's like a proactive attack. How many of you at some point in the last 24 hours posted a piece of content? Could be a blog post, a status update, a photo, a video, a comment, something. Raise your hands. Okay. How many of you crazy people actually did that this morning? Anybody? Yes. Okay, those are my maniacs. All right. Now, the next question is, did any of you get paid for that content? Did anybody pay you? No, probably not. You guys are all very smart business people and entrepreneurs. And the content you create has value. So, what I'm here to talk to you today about is who should be getting the value for that content. So you can actually earn social capital by posting content. That's probably why most of us are doing it, right? We're actually trying to become thought leaders, become an authority, subject matter expert, and that's great. Content marketing is a proven model, and that's a great way to do business. But what if you could earn social capital and real capital at the same time while controlling your data and impacting the policies of the network that you're posting it on? One thing's for sure, someone is profiting off of that content that you're posting. It's time for things to change. But let's go back for a second. Let's step back to the early days of the internet. I'm going to date myself a little bit here, sorry. Tim Berners-Lee, the inventor of the internet, no, it wasn't Al Gore. He has actually come out and said, we've strayed really far from the original vision of the internet. The original vision was decentralization, democracy, autonomy with the internet. It wasn't about Mark Zuckerberg saying chicks are hot or not. That's in his dorm room. That was not the original purpose. So what we'd like to do is bring things back to the original intent. Narrative is a content network that is turning things back, embodying the ideals of the early internet while solving modern problems that exist. So, like you did.
It's time for change. It's time to rise up and slay the faceless behemoths. It's time for a new social network, one that understands that its members create the value and deserve autonomy and rewards. It's time to free ourselves from the subjugation of social media. It's time for a new narrative. Join us in our quest to build a wholly new community, a content economy, a network that's governed by the users themselves, its moderators, and a tribunal elected by us, with 85% of all revenue fairly distributed among its community. Narrative will be the world's journal, providing a smart, subject-oriented network where the middleman is removed and network members have total autonomy. Just sit down, start writing, focus on the things that matter to you, have a say in how things are run by using your vote. Get paid in nerve tokens or regular money for the contributions you make. It's ironic that in a network of contributors, the contributors themselves have absolutely no voice or influence on policies. We're flipping the script by rewarding everyone who positively contributes to our network revolution. Join us and help us create the new content economy. Narrative.
So that was just a quick little intro, a little fun video for you. We're slaying the behemoths, as it said. But what Narrative is all about is actually creating a space where the members are in charge, where you can easily find quality content without sorting through the junk and without the algorithm interfering, and giving 85% of the revenue back to the members. We believe content creators should be rewarded for the content they're creating, not the platform that they're posting on. Content ratings in Narrative are super important. That's what drives the quality equation. And we're starting, as you can see, this is a little sneak peek of one of our UIs in progress. We're starting with photos and text, but we're going to be adding video, and then down the road, different types of content as well. So we've got a lot of things on deck. So how does this all work? That's me as Cersei in Game of Thrones. It's my secret fantasy. So, except I would be a benevolent ruler. I wouldn't be chopping off anyone's head. So in narrative, the members are in control. So I talked about the original ideals of the internet. The ideals of narrative are autonomy, self-governance, and transparency. Autonomy means that you control your content, period, and your personal data. You can edit, delete, download it anytime you want. So that's a pretty important thing. Self-governance. There is actually a structure in place in narrative to make sure that the bad actors don't take over. There are moderators to curate content. Those are elected by the members, and they are members themselves. We have something called the tribunal, which is kind of like our Supreme Court. Those are also members who are elected by the membership, and they resolve disputes within the system. And then the third self-governance piece is called the Narrative Council, and that is actually a group that's the liaison between Narrative the company and Narrative the platform. So the members can actually have a say in the development of the platform and where things go. So you have a voice in the platform, which is something very unique at this point. I don't know how many of you called up Facebook last week or Twitter and told them what you thought, but I don't think anyone would pick up the phone on the other end. So at the core of narrative are these niches, as we're calling them. These are unique content hubs on any subject you can imagine, where members can submit content subject to moderation. And this room is almost a great tour of potential niches. I'm thinking beards, I'm thinking craft beer, I'm thinking Harry Potter. There might be some Game of Thrones over there too for people like me. So the neat thing is you'll be able to find something that you like as a reader as well. This is not all about just content creation. So with the niches, they actually have owners. Niches can be purchased in an auction process. And then the niche owner actually profits based on the popularity of the content in their niche. So imagine if you owned a domain and then you profited off of the popularity of the content under that domain. It's pretty neat. So when a member sits down, let's say you're gonna post some content in narrative, you can actually choose to post it to your public journal, or you can submit it to up to 3 niches to get more visibility for your content. It's pretty cool. So this is all gonna surface everything in Google search. The content is all public, so there's no confusion. Content is rated by the members. They can vote things up or down. They can also comment on the content. So what we're trying to build is a structure that brings quality content to the top through the content ratings and the reputation system, and sinks that bad content and the bad actors down to the bottom so you don't have to even worry about them. Trolls beware. So we talked about 85% of the revenue going back to the members. 15% is going to Narrative, the company, to keep the lights on, to keep the infrastructure going, and develop the platform and market it over time. What impacts how much someone earns from the platform is their behavior, the value that they're adding into the platform through their actions and through their content. So that will determine how much they get back. So it's really important to keep in mind that there's this great delicate incentive system going on within the platform. This system of content ratings to encourage quality content, and a reputation system where good behavior is rewarded. So the system of incentives ensures that everyone has a good experience, whether you're looking for content or you're creating content yourself. So where is all this money coming from? We actually are funded. We had a funding event in March that concluded. That's been funding operations to date. But going forward, we have several sources of revenue, including advertising sales. Yes, sorry, there will be ads. But this is another area where we're pioneering. The ads will be targeted at content, not human beings. So we actually will not be selling your data behind your back. People will also be able to opt in if they want to share their data. but you won't have to. Channel ownership fees, that refers to the niche purchasing, and we will also have publications so that if a brand wants to get in on the act, they can do so too. Recurring token mint, we will also be minting our tokens over time. That will add value to the network as well. And then down the road, also in-app purchases will come into play. So we're inviting you to claim your spot and grab your handle in narrative. One thing I also wanted to mention before I go, this is a blockchain-based project. We're actually leveraging blockchain to create our content currency called Nerve. That is the core of the reward system. But the great thing is you don't have to know one thing about cryptocurrency or blockchain or any of that. The system is free to use. You can take your rewards out in regular money or in Nerve if you want to have Nerve. So we're really targeting anybody that wants to create content and get rewarded for it. So claim your handle now. I think we have some of the little square cards with the information on them floating around. I would welcome any feedback or comments. Thank you very much.
All right, so we'll start Q&A. John's hand's already up.
Mine. Hey, I'm very excited about this. One of the things that I've learned, I'm sure everybody here agrees with me, is the reason I don't do politics anymore on Facebook is I'm going to piss off half my friends. No matter what I say, either side, right? So, I just want to understand more how the tribunal you talked about works, how you keep it from becoming where everybody jumps on some bandwagon and forces one part of this a conversation out, be it sports, politics, whatever that subject is. How does that get regulated so that everybody, because I feel like your success is going to be based on how well everybody feels like their voice or their thought or their idea was actually heard and was never quashed. So how do you explain that more deep?
Yeah, so there is a huge system behind, that's very important to us too, and that, reading the news, looking at the news and people testifying actually on this subject where people feel like their voices have been suppressed and they're really afraid to express themselves. Part of that is because there's a secret back room somewhere in Silicon Valley where a bunch of people we don't know are making decisions based on criteria we don't know. So in narrative, the criteria are public. Anyone can post whatever they want. And the rating system, every member can vote up or down on every piece of content. Also, the reputation of you when you vote comes into play. So if you're a random crazy troll who's coming in and you're just trying to downvote everything that is conservative or everything that's liberal, you're not going to have much of an impact. You're going to be yelling into an empty box because your reputation means that your vote actually counts less.
That makes more sense.
Yeah.
Cool.
Good morning, awesome job. Does your content have to be exclusive to your platform, or can you bring it in from wherever?
That's a good question. No, it does not. We're actually going to provide a creation mechanism within the platform, but we also will have importers available for some of the big blogging platforms if you want to import your existing data. Definitely WordPress, maybe Blogger, and some of the other big ones, so that you can bring content over and potentially down the road syndicate your narrative content out to other platforms too. Because my roots are in marketing and I know I don't have enough hours in the day to create special content for 50 different platforms. We don't want to add to anyone's burden.
All right, who's next? Okay.
Hi, Sally Halsey. My question kind of revolves around how folks using your platform are compensated. So what is the structure around how much they will get paid? Is it how relevant they are, or how good their reputation is, or how many folks are following them? Can you explain that a little bit more?
Yeah, we probably should have included the pie chart. There's actually a pie chart of what percentage of the total rewards pool goes out to different types of people. So the largest chunk of the pie goes to a content creator. So if my content is popular and I have a good reputation, I can actually get a bonus on the rewards that I'm getting. So you're going to be accumulating the nerve in the background on your profile. And you'll be able to see what that is at any given moment. So content creators, that's one slice of the pie so that I could be earning. Second slice of the pie is moderators. If I choose to run to be a moderator of a niche, I can actually earn another slice of the pie, and I get a different percentage, a smaller percentage of the pie. If I'm a niche owner, my rewards are going to be based on the popularity of the content in the niche that I own. I may not be doing anything other than drawing attention to the niche. I don't even have to submit content to my own niche if I don't want to. You can. Some people are doing it as a passion project. Some people are doing it in an entrepreneurial way, just as to make money. Another slice of the pie is for tribunal members, which are people elected by the people to resolve disputes. That earns another slice of the pie. So you can see that by stacking up different actions within the network, you earn additional nerve, and it's paid out on a monthly basis. And I'll tell you now, we've already got more than 1 million nerve available in the rewards pool through our alpha. The alpha is out right now. Beta by the end of the year. We've already got 4,000 people in the alpha, and we've sold more than 600 niches. So we've already demonstrated that the process is working. The alpha is niche focused, so when you go in, you'll be able to suggest niches, buy niches, and get ready for the alpha update that's coming. So the wheels are already turning on the rewards pool. That will start to be distributed as soon as the beta is released. So there's already lots of nerve in there to come.
Good morning. My name is Alex Shi, and great presentation, by the way. It's very, very polished. It was you made your point, and I understood everything you talked about, so that was great.
Thank you.
So my question is, it's very similar to like Reddit, and in terms of the voting system. So how are you going to avoid some of the pitfalls that Reddit falls into? Big site, huge site, has a lot of moderators, but they still have issues with bots, and they have issues with people that are just trying to generate points all the time. And I know you have a tribunal and everything, but sometimes you can't necessarily avoid the bots that are out there because they seem like they're humans.
Yeah, the attack of the bots. And yes, that's a good insight. We do have some overlap with Reddit in terms of the niches are somewhat similar to a subreddit. And I happen to be a Reddit nerd myself, so I've seen the bots firsthand. One of the things that we've made a big investment in right now is the infrastructure. And we've made some key hires here to make sure that we're keeping the bots out from a technological standpoint. But then the other piece of it is the actual rating system and the reputation system. A bot will not have reputation because it can't flood the system with upvotes or downvotes the way, and Steemit actually is another key competitor out there if anybody else is a super nerd like me. Another system that's trying to do something similar and has also been overrun by bots. I think by attacking that up front right now, we'll get ahead of the game. Reddit kind of let the genie out of the bottle and things have just run amok. They intentionally had a very laissez-faire attitude running it since day one on purpose. We want this to be a great place for people to come, welcoming, not overrun with bots. We even have a kid safety mechanism in place so people can actually rate their content as to whether it's kid-friendly or not. So there's a lot of depth there, and we've really thought through some of those scenarios.
Good morning. My name is Thomas Heath.
Hi, Thomas.
Hey, wow, this is great. I'm so glad when we met at SMATCom.
Is that me or you?
Oh, okay. I did. Okay, well, hopefully we won't have to evacuate. I'm so glad when we met at SMATCom.
Not again.
There we go. When we met at SMATCom, that you, Melanie, made it. I want to echo what Alex said. Excellent job. And what I loved about it is it was short and to the point. For those of you who are thinking of presenting or presenting in the future, Tom, keep it short. You know, like 10 minutes, just give us enough. Now here's first of all, it's very well thought out. Here's my question. Can you give us, for those of us who don't totally get what you're doing, a real life example or two of how this is being used or going to be used? And I know you have 3 different channels, so maybe you can pick one and share a real life example so we can absorb it that much more.
Yeah, sure. Actually, that's great. Thank you. I can give you a real life example. Last night, my husband's aunt, who's a retired kindergarten teacher, called up super excited because she won the auction for the education niche. Score. That's a great one because think about when you're sitting down to write something. Does anyone use Medium here? Anybody? So when you're writing something, it gives you the chance to tag it with a word, which kind of like you type into a search engine, what is this related to? What is a word that has to do with this thing you're writing? So she's thinking there's going to be a lot of content that might be related to early childhood education, education in general. So when people are going to sit down and write a blog post, by the way, we're supporting long and short form content and images. So it could be a photo of the day, it could be a long form blog post. Someone sits down, maybe they're a kindergarten teacher and they're writing about their methodology. They tag it to the education niche, and my aunt actually is going to benefit if that content becomes popular. Also, think about this. This is like a corollary to Google on steroids. Because right now, if you go to Google and you type in education in that search box, the first 10 results are going to be ads. Then it's going to be people who have messed with the system to try and do SEO and get their stuff to the top. And then maybe there's going to be something relevant specifically to you that Google thinks that you like because of stuff you searched yesterday. If you go to narrative and you type in education, you will see the education niche, and you will see all of the highest quality content as rated by your peers in that niche in one nice flow. So without the junk, without the noise, without the ads will be unobtrusive and targeted at the content sidebar. So it's a whole different paradigm, it's a different experience. So my Aunt Kate makes money by being the niche owner because she's corralled popular content in that niche. The person who wrote that piece of content, that kindergarten teacher who wrote about her methodology, she might get a reward because that content becomes super popular. The people who are actually participating, the citizens, if you will, who are upvoting, downvoting, having a great comment conversation, those people are earning as well, because if you're a good citizen, you're voting in elections, you're commenting, you're also going to earn a slice of the pie. So you don't necessarily have to be super blogger or a niche owner or get into the nitty-gritty of things to actually be earning rewards. And just one final thought about rewards. This is not all about having a side gig. We don't know if anyone's going to make enough money to quit their day job and go to Bali. No one's promising that. But shouldn't you be getting something out of it? We're also building something unique and special in the world. This has never been tried before, as far as I know. Self-governance. This is a big social experiment that I'm really excited to see how it turns out. I think that grown-ups are capable of managing themselves. So we'll see.
Awesome. I have a quick question also. So kind of on the same, talking about the Reddit issues and bots and things. So one of the things that I've heard is happening on Reddit now is that essentially people who have a lot of upvotes, a lot of points, a lot of karma, they're getting bought out. So their accounts are getting purchased by companies and different things that are then using that influence to promote their brand or kind of troll in that way. Is there anything that you're doing or can do to prevent that?
Well, actually, we're going to have a component of the system. This gets a little into the weeds here, but there is a component where you can do what's called KYC. Anybody who's in banking or financial will know what that is, know your customer, where you can actually verify your identity in the platform. We're not going to force anyone to use their real name in the system, so sensitivity if you want to post about things that you don't want to necessarily relate to your business or something. But if you want to, you can actually correlate your actual identity to your account in the platform. And that actually gives you a bonus on your rewards because you verified yourself with narrative. Doesn't mean that information is publicly accessible to anyone, and in fact, narrative won't even have access to your data. So that's one way we're going to try and stem that tide. We're definitely concerned with people trying to game the system, so we're doing a lot of game theory on our side right now. We're also not revealing the key components of the reputation system in detail. You notice that I mentioned it, but we're not going to say, here are the components. We really don't want people to try and game the system.
Hi, I'm Amy. I had a question about timeline for when rewards are given. If content is posted, is there a certain amount of time it sits there to allow it to move up to the top? Or if it sits at the top for a long time and it is the best content, do they get bonuses, or what's that structure like?
The rewards are paid out monthly, but you could actually earn revenue on a great piece of content over time, because that's going to sit there and it will grow in popularity. You're right. So it won't be like a one and done, you already got paid for that piece of content, it's done. It's going to actually keep going. So as it gets more popular over time, you will earn more rewards. And your niche owner, whoever's the lucky person to have your content in their niche, is going to earn more.
I had a question about your the education niche. So that's very broad, right? Can you share like what something like that would cost, or what someone would expect to have to, where they would need to be at on a bid? Is it $10,000? Is it $1,000? And then secondly, how do you handle? Because there's so many subcategories of education. How does that work?
Yeah, that's actually one of the cooler things we're looking at right now. Because the niche auction process is in progress, we actually have some data. We've got everything from education down to the nitty-grittiest thing you could possibly imagine. There could be a Gryffindor niche, and we allow that. It just has to be unique, but it could be a subcategory of something else. So you could have a niche, someone could own the Harry Potter niche, someone else could have the Hogwarts niche, someone else could have the Daniel Radcliffe niche, and those people are all earning. It's going to depend on how people use the system and tag it. So you want to have a niche that comes to mind when someone's typing something. That's what you really want to think about. The minimum bid right now for a niche is $75, which so now is a good time to get in, because there are some niches that have been suggested and not purchased yet that are pretty amazing. I think the highest amount that's been paid to date is somewhere around 22,000 NERV, something like that. And that price is going to fluctuate because NERV is tied to a market value. So not to get too into the weeds, but you're looking at maybe a few $100s for even the most popular niches right now. So when you come in and claim your spot, that's an important thing. If you're interested in niches, now is the time to get in on that action, because there's some good ones up right now. Cryptocurrency was the first one to get sold, by the way. Followed by funny images, sorry.
Hi, I'm Allison Charleston from Charleston Southern University. So I had a question about the self-governance model, because I'm a political science nerd.
Oh, me too.
Is that going to be handled like per niche, with the moderators handling controversial content, or is it going to depend by like what the moderator thinks, or is it going to be, is that platform based, like what's considered allowable content on the platform, or is that going to be under the self-governance?
Yeah, that's part of the social experiment. So up front, Narrative, the company, is proposing a terms of service, which is our legal agreement with the users. There's also going to be policy that is developed by the actual narrators over time, the membership. They will actually be able to change that if they want to, according to the community values. We have said hardline, there's no pornography allowed. And then there's the kid content rating system in place as well. We expect the moderators to be rejecting things based on whether it's relevant to the niche or not. And we want the content rating system to be the arbiter of, is it good or not? And of course that's subjective. You are gonna have people come in and say, well, I just disagree with that and I'm gonna vote it down. That's going to happen. But we feel that with quantity and with the more people we can get into the system, the more diverse opinions we can get in. People generally are going to hang out in the areas that they have an affinity with as well. I think Reddit has seen that to some degree too, where the trolls kind of find their hangout. The neat thing about Narrative is you don't have to see things you don't want to see. We're not going to be shoving things in your face that you have not subscribed to. And that's a really important differentiator. Right? I just saw this morning an article that Twitter is finally testing a non-algorithmic feed. Yes. So you wonder why you follow someone and then you haven't seen stuff from them in 2 weeks. Why? In Narrative, if you subscribe to something, you're going to see it. And we're not going to say, oh, hey, how about this, strip club event that's going on that you have no idea why that's showing up in your feed. That's not going to happen.
All right, so we have time for one more question. So,
hi, I'm Josh. That was a terrific presentation on a complex platform. Bring it up to the big picture view. What's this look like in 5 years? What's the vision down the road? Because I know right now it's about the details. What's it look like?
We have bold plans. We're ready to take over the world. From a numbers perspective, we would like to be around 500,000 users within the next maybe year 2 after it's released. We would like to see advertising come onto the platform year 2 or year 3. So we've kind of spec'd out. Another aspect I didn't talk about that's coming within that time frame would be different languages. So think about that. Each niche is currently English only. The platform is English only, but there will be a Spanish instance, French, and German. Those will all be using the same NERV token. So the economies of scale, if you think about that, there could be the English version of underwater basket weaving, the Spanish version owned by a different niche owner with Spanish language content. It really doubles, triples, quadruples the economy within using that same token. Beyond that, there are other cultures that will require separate instances of the platform. So we're looking at way down the road China or perhaps India having their own because the culture is so unique and the language requirements, 7 or 8 different languages in India alone. And we'd have probably some government impacts if we decide to go to China. So we do have a long-term vision for this. Our other company has been around for 20 years. I don't think I mentioned that. So this isn't our first rodeo in building a business. I think we're somewhat unique in the blockchain crypto world in that aspect. We aren't a couple of guys in a basement. We actually have been doing this for a long time. We really wanted to apply the business skills we had already grown to this new field. This is something we feel needs to happen. Whether we do it or not, this needs to happen.
awesome. And the last question we always like to end with is, what is your number one ask of everyone here in this room? What can we do to help you?
Well, first of all, thank you. The questions are really, that's my ask. This obviously is a very deep and complex subject. It's something that's in the news. Smart people are thinking about this. You guys are the brain trust for us right now. Since the alpha is out, we're really looking at you as users of the platform potentially to come say, I don't get this at all. Like, I don't understand a word you just said. That's totally fine. Or, I think I get it, but can you explain this? Those types of questions are just gold to us right now. So I really appreciate the chance to get some real world feedback.
So let's give another round of applause for Rosemary and Meredith.